The militant's boot crushed into Marcus Reed's broken leg. He screamed. The compound echoed with laughter, 30 men watching one American SEAL bleed out in the Somali sand. "Your government abandoned you," the commander hissed, pressing a pistol against Marcus's temple. "Who will save you now?" 1,247 meters away, Dr. Sarah Chen's finger found the trigger she'd abandoned 8 years ago. Through the rifle scope, she watched the commander's smile, watched him cock the hammer, watched him prepare to execute a father whose 3-year-old daughter was waiting for bedtime stories she'd never hear. They said a doctor can't be a sniper. They said she'd forgotten how to kill. They were wrong. If this story moves you, hit subscribe and stay with me until the end. Drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this truth travels. The blood pressure monitors screamed, 80/40 and dropping fast. "I need 2 units of O negative now." Sarah Chen's voice cut through the chaos of the emergency room at Naval Medical Center San Diego. Her hands moved with surgical precision, applying pressure to the shrapnel wound that had turned a routine SEAL training exercise into a medical emergency. The man on her table was Lieutenant Jake Morrison, call sign Hawk. 6'3" of muscle and scar tissue, now unconscious and bleeding out faster than her team could replace the blood. "Dr. Chen, his pressure's still dropping," Nurse Rebecca Martinez called out, her voice tight with fear. 70/35. Sarah didn't flinch. Her fingers probed the wound near Jake's spine, feeling for the metal fragment that had lodged itself millimeters from his spinal cord. One wrong move, and this Navy SEAL would never walk again. No wrong move, and he'd be dead in minutes. "Scalpel." Rebecca placed it in her palm. The blade caught the harsh fluorescent light as Sarah made her incision. Clean, precise, confident. But her hands were shaking. Just slightly, just enough that she noticed. Rebecca noticed, too. In 3 years of working together, she'd never seen Sarah's hands shake. "Doctor?" "I'm fine. Suction." The suction cleared the blood. There it was, the shrapnel. Twisted metal from what the preliminary report said was a training grenade that had malfunctioned. But Sarah had seen enough combat wounds to know the difference between training accidents and the real thing. This was real. This was enemy ordnance, which meant somewhere something had gone very wrong. "Forceps." She extracted the fragment. Jake's pressure stabilized, 90/50. Still critical, but climbing. "He's stable," Sarah announced, pulling off her gloves. "Get him to recovery. I want vitals every 15 minutes for the next 6 hours." She turned to leave when Rebecca grabbed her arm. "Dr. Chen, there's something you should know. Lieutenant Morrison refused sedation until after he told us something." "Told you what?" "He kept saying a name. Marcus. He said Marcus is still out there. He said we have to find Marcus." Sarah's blood turned cold. "Did he say anything else?" "He said Marcus has 6 hours, maybe less." The recovery room door burst open. A man in khaki uniform strode in, his jaw set like carved granite. Captain David Walsh, SEAL Team Commander. Sarah had seen him before, always from a distance, always surrounded by operators who moved like weapons wrapped in human skin. "Dr. Chen." His voice carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed without question. "I need 5 minutes." "My patient needs rest." "Your patient's swim buddy is trapped behind enemy lines in Somalia with a compromised leg and 30 hostiles between him and exfil. So yeah, he needs rest. But Petty Officer Marcus Reed needs us to find him in the next 6 hours, or he's dead." Sarah met Walsh's eyes. They were blue, cold, calculating. The eyes of a man who'd made impossible decisions and lived with the consequences. "I'm a surgeon, Captain, not a tactical planner." "I know exactly what you are, Doctor." Walsh pulled a tablet from his tactical vest and brought up a satellite image. This is the compound where our team was ambushed. This is where Marcus was last seen. Our intel says he went to ground somewhere in this 3-mile radius. He zoomed in on the terrain. Rocky outcroppings, dried riverbeds, abandoned structures that could have been villages or military installations, or both. Sarah stared at the image. Her mind, unbidden, began analyzing sightlines, cover positions, escape routes. If I were him, she heard herself say, I'd head northeast. There's a wadi system here that runs for about 2 miles. Good cover from aerial surveillance. Multiple egress points. And this structure here, she pointed to what looked like ruins. That's elevated enough for defensive position, but not so obvious that it draws attention. The room went silent. Walsh's eyes narrowed. How the hell does a trauma surgeon know tactical terrain analysis? Sarah's mouth went dry. She'd said too much. 8 years of careful separation between her past and present, and she'd just blown it in 30 seconds because a wounded SEAL mentioned a name. Marcus. I read a lot, she said, her voice flat. Bullshit. Walsh swiped his tablet. A new image appeared. A military personnel file. The photo showed a younger woman, hair pulled back severe and tight, eyes hard as flint, wearing navy dress blues with a SEAL trident on her chest. The name at the top read, Petty Officer Sarah Chen, Navy SEAL, Sniper. I pulled your classified file 20 minutes ago, Walsh said quietly. Took 3 calls to JSOC and a favor from a 2-star admiral, but I pulled it. You weren't just a SEAL, Dr. Chen. You were a sniper. 47 confirmed kills across 3 deployments. Distinguished Service Cross for actions in Helmand Province. And then you just disappeared. Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. Rebecca was staring at her like she'd never seen her before. That was a long time ago. 8 years. You left right after Operation Redline. The name hit Sarah like a physical blow. Operation Redline. The mission that had ended her career as a SEAL. The mission that still woke her up screaming some nights. I don't do that anymore, Captain. Marcus Reed doesn't have the luxury of what you do anymore. Walsh's voice hardened. I've got 1 sniper down on this table, another one puking his guts out from malaria, and a rescue window that closes in 6 hours. The shot to cover the exfil is 1,200 meters in variable wind conditions at night. I need someone who can make that shot. Then find someone else. There is no one else. Not who can make that shot. Not in the time we have. Sarah turned away from him, from the tablet, from the ghost of who she used to be. I'm a doctor now. I save lives. I don't take them. Marcus Reed has a daughter. Her name is Lily. She just turned 3. You want to explain to her why Daddy's not coming home, because the one person who could save him decided she was too good to pick up a rifle again? That's not fair. War isn't fair, Doctor. You know that better than anyone. A groan from the recovery bed cut through their argument. Jake was stirring, fighting through the sedation. Sarah moved to his side instantly, her doctor instincts overriding everything else. Lieutenant Morrison, you need to stay still. You just had surgery. Jake's eyes opened. They were unfocused, glazed with pain and medication. But when they found Sarah's face, something like recognition flickered. Doc, he rasped. Marcus. Did they tell you about Marcus? I know. They're working on it. No. His hand shot out, gripping her wrist with surprising strength. You have to help him. You have to. Jake, I'm a surgeon. I can't. You're a SEAL. His eyes focused suddenly, cutting through the drug haze. I read your file, too. Before the mission. Walsh showed us. Said we might have a guardian angel in the hospital. Didn't believe it until now. Sarah tried to pull away, but Jake held tight. Marcus has a little girl, Lily. She's 3, loves butterflies and strawberry ice cream, and she makes him read Goodnight Moon 17 times before bed. Tears leaked from the corners of Jake's eyes. I grew up without a dad, Doc. Car accident when I was 4. I don't remember his face anymore. Just this empty space where a father should have been. His voice broke. Don't let Lily grow up with that empty space. Please. Sarah's vision blurred. She saw another face, another pair of eyes, another man she couldn't save. I'm not that person anymore, she whispered. Yes, you are. You're just wearing a different uniform. Jake's grip loosened as the sedation pulled him back under, but his last words hung in the air like smoke. Don't let her lose her daddy. Please. Walsh's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went gray. What? Sarah asked. Updated intel from the drone. Marcus just engaged hostiles at his position. He's wounded, running low on ammo, and they've got his location zeroed. If we don't move in the next 4 hours, there won't be anything to rescue. Sarah looked at Jake's unconscious form, at Rebecca, who was staring at her like she was a stranger, at Walsh, who was watching her with the expression of a man who'd just played his last card. She thought about Lily. 3 years old, strawberry ice cream, 17 readings of Goodnight Moon. She thought about her own father, the way he'd hugged her before her first deployment, the way he'd cried at her medal ceremony, the way he'd held her when she came back broken and told him she couldn't be a SEAL anymore. If I do this, Sarah said slowly, I have one condition. Name it. I operate on Jake first. Full spinal stabilization. I'm not leaving him with a 40% chance of paralysis because you need me to play soldier again. Walsh checked his watch. That surgery takes 4 hours minimum. Then you better hope your intel is good and Marcus can hold out for 4 hours. And if you can't? Sarah met his eyes. Then I'll have another name to add to the list of people I couldn't save. She stripped off her surgical gown and headed for the scrub room. Behind her, she heard Walsh on his phone. This is Captain Walsh. Prep the bird. Wheels up in 4 hours. We're going to get our boy. The spinal surgery was the most delicate work of Sarah's career. Jake's life hung on millimeter precision and steady hands. Hands that hadn't stopped shaking since Walsh had shown her that photograph. Rebecca assisted, but she kept shooting Sarah glances that mixed fear and fascination. You were really a Navy SEAL? She finally asked, as Sarah placed a titanium rod along Jake's spine. A long time ago. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because I left that behind. Why? Sarah's hands paused over Jake's exposed spine. She saw blood, saw sand, saw a man's face exploding in the crosshairs of her scope. Because I was tired of killing people. But you saved people too, right? That's what snipers do in the SEALs. Overwatch. Protection. Yeah, we do. Sarah resumed her work. Until we don't. 3 hours and 47 minutes later, Jake Morrison's spine was stabilized. His prognosis upgraded from critical to serious. And Sarah was stripping off her gloves while Walsh waited outside the OR. How is he? He'll walk. Might have some nerve pain, but he'll walk. Good, because we need to move. Now. Sarah looked down at her scrubs. They were spattered with Jake's blood. I need to change. No time. The bird's spinning up. We hit the window or we lose Marcus. Captain, I haven't held a rifle in 8 years. You said 1,247 meters through a sandstorm. That means you remember the fundamentals. Sarah's stomach dropped. I said that out loud? When you were calculating the shot, yeah. Walsh handed her a tactical vest. Let's go find out if you're as good as your record says. The helicopter was an MH-60 Blackhawk, rotors already turning, the crew chief waving them aboard with urgent gestures. Sarah climbed in and found herself surrounded by 6 SEAL operators, all of whom were staring at her like she'd just sprouted a second head. "Gentlemen," Walsh shouted over the rotor noise, "this is Dr. Sarah Chen. Some of you know her as the trauma surgeon who's patched you up. What you don't know is that she's also the SEAL sniper who held the record for longest confirmed kill in Helmand Province before Chris Kyle beat it." The operators' expressions shifted from confusion to shock to something like respect. One of them, a massive man with a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, leaned forward. "Your Phantom?" Sarah's blood froze. Nobody had called her that in 8 years. "That's not my call sign anymore." "Holy shit. Phantom. We heard stories about you in training. The sniper who could shoot through sandstorms. The operator who pulled 3 Marines out of a kill zone while taking fire from 4 positions. The SEAL who—" "That's enough, Chief," Walsh cut him off. "Ancient history. Right now she's our Overwatch from Marcus's exfil." The Black Hawk lifted off. Through the open door, Sarah watched San Diego fall away beneath them. The hospital where she'd spent 8 years rebuilding herself. The life she'd carefully constructed, all of it shrinking into insignificance as the helicopter banked toward the Pacific. "Here's the situation," Walsh said, pulling up a tactical display. "Marcus is holed up in a compound here. He's got maybe 2 magazines left and a leg wound that's slowing him down. Hostiles have him surrounded, but haven't pushed in because he's in a defensible position and he's already dropped 4 of them." "Smart," Sarah murmured. "Make them pay for every foot." "Problem is, he can't stay there. We've got drone footage showing them bringing up reinforcements. Another hour and they'll have the manpower to just overwhelm him." Walsh zoomed in on the terrain. "Our LZ is here, 2 clicks south. We fast rope in, move to this Wadi system. You called it right, by the way. He did use it for cover. And extract through this route. But there's a choke point here where we're exposed for about 400 meters. He looked at Sarah. "That's where you come in. This ridgeline gives you overwatch on the entire route. 1,200 meters to the choke point. Variable wind, minimal light. You cover us. We get Marcus. We all go home." "And if I miss?" "Then we all die together." The flight to the coast took 40 minutes. Then they were over open ocean, the Black Hawk skimming low over the waves to avoid radar. Sarah sat in silence, the rifle Walsh had given her resting across her lap. It was a Mark 13 Model 7, the same model she'd carried in Afghanistan, the same model she'd used for her last shot, the shot that had ended Operation Redline and her career. "You okay?" The operator with the scar, Chief Petty Officer Tom Briggs, according to his name tape, was watching her. "No." "Good. Only idiots aren't scared before an OP." "I'm not scared of the OP." "What are you scared of?" Sarah looked down at the rifle. "That I'll remember how good I was at this." Briggs studied her face for a long moment. "Marcus is a good man. Best swim buddy I ever had. Teaches Sunday school at his church, coaches Little League, cries at Disney movies. He doesn't deserve to die in some shithole compound in Somalia. Nobody deserves that." "No, but some people are worth saving more than others." Briggs leaned back against the helicopter frame. "Whatever happened that made you stop, whatever shot you missed or person you couldn't save, it doesn't matter right now. Right now, the only thing that matters is Marcus Reed and his daughter Lily." "You know her?" "She calls me Uncle Tommy. Gave me a crayon drawing last Christmas. It's on my fridge." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "So yeah, I know her. And I'm asking you, one operator to another, don't let her lose her dad." The helicopter banked hard. The crew chief held up 5 fingers. 5 minutes to insertion. Sarah checked her rifle. Muscle memory took over. Chamber check. optics calibration, breathing exercises to steady her heart rate. Walsh appeared beside her. "You don't have to do this. I can call it off. We can try another approach." "Like what?" "I don't know, but I'm not going to force you to become someone you don't want to be anymore." Sarah looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the same thing she saw in every SEAL's eyes, the weight of command, the burden of sending men into danger, the guilt of those who didn't come back. "Marcus is one of yours." "He is?" "Then we don't leave him." Sarah stood up, slinging the rifle across her chest. "That's the code, right? No man left behind." Walsh's expression softened. "Welcome back, Phantom." "Don't call me that. I'm not her anymore." "Then who are you?" Sarah thought about Jake's words, about Lily's face that she'd never seen but could picture perfectly, about the 8 years she'd spent running from who she was. "I guess we're about to find out." The Black Hawk descended into the Somali night. The Black Hawk's rotors cut through the night as they crossed into Somali airspace. Sarah's hands gripped the Mk-13, and for the first time in 8 years, the weight felt right. Too right. 2 minutes to LZ, the pilot's voice crackled through the headset. Walsh moved beside her, his face illuminated by the green glow of the tactical display. "Once we hit ground, you've got 8 minutes to get into position. Marcus doesn't have longer than that." Sarah nodded, but her throat was too tight to speak. Briggs leaned forward from across the cabin. "Doc, you good?" "Yeah." "That's not what your face says." Sarah met his eyes. "How long have you known Marcus?" 6 years. We went through BUD/S together. He saved my ass in Ramadi when I took shrapnel to the chest. Carried me 3 clicks under fire. Briggs pulled out his phone, shielding the screen from the wind. "This is Lily." The photo showed a little girl with dark curls and her father's smile, holding a stuffed butterfly. Sarah's chest constricted. "She doesn't know her daddy's in trouble," Briggs said quietly. "Jennifer, Marcus's wife, she thinks he's on a training exercise. Safe. Coming home in 2 days." His voice cracked. "Don't make her a liar, Doc." The helicopter banked hard. Sarah's stomach dropped as the ground rushed up to meet them. 30 seconds, the crew chief called out. Walsh gripped the overhead rail. "Remember the plan. We fast rope, move to the wadi, extract Marcus through the northern route. Sarah, you take the ridgeline and give us eyes on the compound. Once we have Marcus, you cover our 6 through the choke point." "And if they follow us?" "Then you make them regret it." The Black Hawk flared, hovering 20 feet above the desert floor. The crew chief kicked out the fast rope. "Go, go, go!" The SEALs dropped like stones. Sarah watched them disappear into the darkness, their movements fluid and practiced. Then it was her turn. Her hands found the rope. Muscle memory took over. She slid down, boots hitting sand, rifle swinging into ready position. The helicopter was gone in seconds, leaving them in silence so complete Sarah could hear her own heartbeat. Walsh's hand appeared on her shoulder. He pointed northeast toward a rocky ridge barely visible against the star-studded sky. Sarah ran. The ridge was steeper than the satellite images suggested. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed. She hadn't run with full gear in 8 years, and her body was reminding her of every single day. "Come on," she whispered to herself. "You've done harder." But had she? The last time she'd taken a shot that mattered, a man had died. Not the target. Her partner. Her hands started shaking again. She reached the ridgeline and dropped prone behind a cluster of rocks. The rifle felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds as she settled it against her shoulder. Through the scope, the compound materialized. Low walls, corrugated metal roof, and there, movement. 30, maybe 35 hostiles. They were organized, disciplined. This wasn't some ragtag militia. These were trained fighters, and in the center of the compound, barely visible in the shadows, a figure sat, slumped against a wall. Marcus. Sarah's breath caught. Even from 1,200 meters, she could see the dark stain spreading down his leg. He was hurt badly, and the men surrounding him weren't keeping their distance anymore. Her radio crackled. "Phantom, this is Walsh. You in position?" She hated that call sign. Hated what it represented. But she keyed the mic anyway. "Affirmative. I have eyes on Marcus. He's alive but wounded. Hostiles are closing in." "How many?" 35 confirmed. Maybe more inside the structure." And Walsh, these aren't local militia. They're moving like professionals. A pause, then, "Copy that. We're 2 clicks out. ETA 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Marcus might not have 6 minutes. Through the scope, Sarah watched a man approach Marcus. Tall, wearing tactical gear that looked American-made. He carried himself like a commander. He kicked Marcus in the leg. Even at this distance, Sarah saw Marcus's body convulse with pain. The commander said something. His men laughed. Sarah's finger moved to the trigger guard. "Not yet," she whispered. "Not yet." But every instinct she had was screaming at her to take the shot, to end this man who was torturing a fellow SEAL, to do what she'd been trained to do. The commander pulled out a pistol. Sarah's heart stopped. He pressed the barrel against Marcus's temple. "Phantom, what's your status?" Walsh's voice was urgent in her ear. "He's got a gun to Marcus's head. Can you take the shot?" Could she? 1,247 meters, variable wind, minimal light, a moving target. And if she missed, if her hands shook at the wrong moment, Marcus would die anyway. "Phantom, I need an answer." The commander thumbed back the hammer. Sarah's breathing steadied. Her heart rate slowed. 8 years fell away, and she was back in Helmand Province, on a different ridge, looking through a different scope, at a different target. But the math was the same. The wind was the same. The weight of a life hanging on a single bullet was the same. "I can make it," she said. "Then take it." "Negative. If I fire now, 35 hostiles will shred Marcus before you can reach him. I need you closer. 400 meters or less." Walsh cursed. "That's cutting it close." "It's the only way he lives through this." Another pause. Longer this time. Then, "Copy. We're moving fast. 3 minutes." 3 minutes. Sarah watched the commander lean close to Marcus, saying something that made him smile. Whatever it wasn't good. Through the scope, she saw Marcus's lips move. He was talking, probably buying time, probably praying. The commander straightened, gun still pressed to Marcus's head. Sarah's finger moved inside the trigger guard. 2 minutes, Walsh whispered over the radio. The wind shifted. Sarah felt it on her face, calculated the adjustment automatically. 0.3 mils left. Elevation unchanged. 90 seconds. The commander's finger tightened on the trigger. "Phantom, we're not going to make it. Take the shot." "If I take it now." "Take the goddamn shot!" Sarah's world narrowed to the reticle in her scope, to the commander's head, to the space between heartbeats where the impossible became possible. She exhaled slowly, squeezed the trigger. The rifle bucked, the bullet flew, and time stopped. 247 meters away, the commander's head snapped back. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. The pistol fell from his hand, unfired. The compound erupted in chaos. Men shouting, weapons raised, searching for a threat they couldn't see. "Jesus Christ," Walsh breathed. "That was—" "Move," Sarah cut him off. "You've got maybe 30 seconds before they realize where the shot came from." Through the scope, she tracked the hostiles. They were scrambling, confused, terrified. Good. Terror made people stupid, but not for long. One man, older, gray-bearded, carrying himself with authority, started shouting orders. The chaos organized. Men took cover. Others dragged the commander's body inside, and 3 men ran straight for Marcus. "Walsh, you've got company heading for the package. 3 hostiles, armed with AKs. "We see them. Can you—" "On it." Sarah tracked the first hostile, led him by 2 feet, fired. He dropped. The second hostile dove behind cover, but not fast enough. Sarah's bullet caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. The third was smarter. He zigzagged, used the shadows, made himself a difficult target. Sarah waited. Patience was the sniper's greatest weapon. He'd have to break cover eventually. There. 3 seconds of exposure as he ran from one wall to another. Sarah fired. Missed. Her heart lurched. She'd missed. After all her talk, all her confidence, she'd missed. The hostile reached Marcus, grabbed him by the collar, started dragging him toward the building. "Phantom, Marcus is being moved. I need—" Sarah fired again. This time, the bullet found its mark. The hostile collapsed on top of Marcus. "Package is clear," she said, but her voice was shaking. "But we've got a problem. They're organizing a perimeter defense. You're walking into a kill box." "Can you suppress?" "I can try." She couldn't. Not alone. Not against 30-plus hostiles who now knew a sniper was out there. But she could make them pay for every inch. Sarah switched to rapid fire. Not accurate enough for headshots at this range, but good enough to keep them pinned. She put rounds into walls, into vehicles, into anything that looked like cover. "We're at the compound," Walsh's voice came through. 60 seconds to Marcus." Through the scope, Sarah saw the SEAL team breach the outer wall. 6 shadows, moving like death itself. They flowed through the compound, weapons up, clearing corners with brutal efficiency. But the hostiles were ready. Muzzle flashes erupted from multiple positions. "Contact left!" someone shouted over the radio. Sarah tracked the shooter, fired. He went down. "Contact right!" Another shooter, another shot, another body. "We've got Marcus!" Briggs's voice. "But he's in bad shape. We need exfil now." "Copy," Walsh replied. "Moving to extraction point Alpha. Phantom, we need cover through the choke point." The choke point. 400 meters of open ground between the compound and the Wadi system. No cover, no concealment. Just a kill zone that would eat them alive if Sarah couldn't suppress the hostiles. She reloaded. Her hands were steady now, her mind clear. This was what she was made for. This was why she'd spent 2 years in Helmand Province. This was her purpose. "Moving!" Walsh called out. Through the scope, Sarah watched the SEAL team emerge from the compound. Briggs and another operator carried Marcus between them. Walsh took point. The others covered their flanks. And behind them, hostiles poured out like ants from a kicked nest. Sarah fired, reloaded, fired again. She wasn't aiming for kills anymore, just suppression. Make them duck. Make them think twice. Buy the team 10 more seconds. Then 10 more. Then 10 more. Her magazine ran dry. She reloaded, but her hands fumbled the fresh mag. Dropped it. "No, no, no!" She grabbed another magazine, slammed it home, brought the rifle back up. The SEALs were halfway through the choke point, 100 meters to safety. But the hostiles were gaining, and they had the angle now. In 15 seconds, they'd have clear shots at the team's exposed backs. Sarah couldn't let that happen. She stood up. "What the hell are you doing?" she asked herself. But she knew she was giving them a target, drawing fire. Every bullet coming at her was a bullet not going at Marcus. She fired standing, without cover, completely exposed. The hostiles saw her. Muzzle flashes erupted in her direction. Bullets cracked through the air around her, kicking up sand, ricocheting off rocks. Sarah kept firing. Methodical, calm, like she was on a range and not standing in the middle of a firefight. 1 hostile down. 2. 3. A bullet tugged at her sleeve. Another grazed her thigh, hot and sharp. She didn't stop. "Phantom, get down!" Walsh was screaming in her ear. "You're going to get killed!" Maybe, but Marcus wouldn't. The seals reached the wadi, disappeared into its protective embrace. Sarah dropped back behind cover, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might burst. "Package secure," Walsh panted. "We're clear. Phantom, what the hell was that?" Sarah looked down at her leg. Blood soaked through her pants, but the wound was superficial. She'd been lucky. "That," she said, "was me remembering why I left." The extraction took 40 minutes that felt like 40 hours. Sarah half ran, half limped down from the ridge, following the GPS coordinates to the secondary LZ. Her legs screamed with every step, but she didn't slow down. The Black Hawk was already on the ground when she arrived. The SEALs had Marcus on a stretcher, Briggs working frantically to stabilize his leg. "How is he?" Sarah asked, dropping beside them. "Alive," Briggs said. "Thanks to you. But he's lost a lot of blood. We need to get him to a hospital." Sarah nodded and started examining Marcus's wound. The bullet had shattered his femur. She could feel bone fragments grinding under her fingers. Marcus's eyes fluttered open. Easy," Sarah said. "You're safe now." "The doctor?" His voice was barely a whisper. "They said a doctor was coming." "That's me." Marcus tried to smile. "Doctors aren't supposed to." He coughed. Blood flecked his lips. "Shoot that good." "I'm not a regular doctor." "No kidding." His hand found hers, gripping weakly. "Thank you. Lily, my daughter. Thank you for... Save your strength. You're going to need it when she tackles you at the airport." The helicopter lifted off. Below them, the compound burned. Walsh had called in an airstrike to eliminate any remaining hostiles and destroy evidence of American involvement. Sarah watched the flames until they were just orange dots in the darkness. Walsh sat down beside her. "That was some of the finest shooting I've ever seen." "I missed one." "You saved 7 lives tonight. Marcus and the 6 of us who would have died trying to get him out without your cover." Sarah didn't respond. Her hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was adrenaline crash, the aftermath of combat that every operator knew. "You okay?" Walsh asked. "I killed 5 men tonight." 5 men who would have killed Marcus. Does that make it right? Walsh was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know, but it makes it necessary. And sometimes that's all we get." Sarah closed her eyes. She saw the commander's head snap back, saw the hostile collapse on top of Marcus, saw the muzzle flashes coming at her while she stood exposed. She'd become exactly what she'd run from 8 years ago. A killer. A weapon. Phantom. "We're 20 minutes out from San Diego," the pilot announced. 20 minutes until she had to face what she'd done. 20 minutes until she had to figure out who she was now, because she wasn't just a doctor anymore. And she'd never be just a SEAL again. She was something in between, something new, something that terrified her more than any firefight ever could. Marcus groaned. Sarah moved to his side, checking his vitals. His pulse was thready but stable. "Stay with me, Marcus." "My daughter," he whispered. Tell her Daddy's coming home." "You'll tell her yourself." But as Sarah looked at his pale face, at the blood-soaked bandages, at the monitor showing his blood pressure dropping, she wasn't sure if that was a promise she could keep. Marcus's blood pressure dropped to 60/30.
"He's crashing,"
Sarah said, her fingers pressed against his neck, feeling the pulse fade. "I need to operate. Now." Walsh stared at her. "We're in a helicopter." "I don't care if we're in a phone booth. If I don't stop this bleeding in the next 5 minutes, he dies." Briggs was already tearing open medical supplies. "What do you need?" "Light, space, and everyone to shut up and let me work." The crew chief rigged a portable surgical lamp. Sarah cut away Marcus's pants, exposing the shattered femur. Bone fragments had severed the femoral artery. Blood pumped with each heartbeat, pooling on the helicopter floor. "Clamp," Sarah said. Briggs handed it to her. Their eyes met for a split second. His were full of fear. "He's going to make it," Sarah said. "You sure?" "No, but I'm not letting him die on my watch." Her hands moved faster than thought. Clamp the artery, clear the wound, remove bone fragments. Her fingers worked in the space between Marcus's heartbeats, timing each movement to the rhythm of his failing pulse. "Pressure's dropping," Walsh called out. 50/20. "More fluids. Push 2 units of O-neg." "We don't have 2 units." "Then find some." Sarah's voice was steel. "Tap every operator on this bird if you have to. Marcus doesn't get to die because we ran out of blood." Briggs rolled up his sleeve. "I'm O-negative." "Me too," another SEAL said. Within seconds, 3 operators had IV lines running, their blood flowing directly into Marcus's body. It was crude. It was dangerous. It violated a dozen medical protocols. It worked. Marcus's pressure climbed, 55/25, 60/30. His color improved from gray to merely pale. Sarah tied off the artery, packed the wound, and sat back on her heels. Her hands were covered in blood. Her leg throbbed where the bullet had grazed her. Her entire body shook with exhaustion. "He's stable," she said. "For now." Walsh's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went white. "What?" Sarah asked. "We've got a problem. A big one." "Marcus is stable. What's bigger than that?" Walsh showed her the phone. A news alert. "Navy SEAL mission in Somalia exposed. Unauthorized operation under investigation." Sarah's stomach dropped. "How did they—" "Someone leaked it. 20 minutes ago. Every major network has the story." "Who?" "We don't know, but whoever it was, they had access to classified mission details. They knew our timeline, our objectives, everything." Briggs looked up from Marcus's I-Fi line. "That's impossible. This op was black level. Only 6 people knew the full scope." 7, Walsh said quietly, if you count Dr. Chen. The helicopter went silent. Every operator was staring at Sarah. "You think I leaked it?" Her voice was incredulous. "I think someone did. And you're the only person on this bird who wasn't part of the original team." Sarah stood up, fury replacing exhaustion. "I just saved your man. I took fire to give you cover. I operated on him in a goddamn helicopter with bullets in my leg. And you think I think we need to figure out who did before this gets worse." Walsh's tone was flat, professional, hiding whatever he really felt. "When we land, you're going to be questioned. So am I. So is everyone here." "Fine. Question me." "But Marcus needs a hospital. That comes first." Walsh nodded. "Naval Medical Center is on standby. We land in 8 minutes." Those 8 minutes felt like 8 hours. Sarah monitored Marcus's vitals while the SEALs watched her with expressions ranging from gratitude to suspicion. The blood on her hands dried to a dark rust color. The Black Hawk touched down on the hospital rooftop. A trauma team was waiting, rushing Marcus away on a gurney before Sarah could even climb out. Dr. Chen, a woman in a Navy captain's uniform, approached. "I'm Captain Elizabeth Morrison, JAG. I need you to come with me." "I need to check on my patient." "Your patient is being taken care of. You need to answer some questions about tonight's operation." Sarah looked at Walsh. He nodded once, his face unreadable. Captain Morrison led Sarah to a conference room. 2 men in suits were already there. The taller one stood when she entered. "Dr. Chen, I'm Agent Thomas Reed, NCIS. This is Agent Parker. We need to discuss your involvement in tonight's unauthorized military operation."
"Unauthorized?" Sarah's temper flared. "A Navy SEAL was dying. We went to get him."
"Without proper authorization, without chain of command approval, without
letting a good man die while you pushed papers," Sarah cut him off. "Yeah, I'm guilty of that."
Agent Reed's expression didn't change. "Where were you when the mission details were leaked to the press?" "I was in a helicopter, saving a man's life."
"Can anyone verify that?"
6 Navy SEALs and 2 pilots. Want their names?"
"We have their names. What we don't have is an explanation for how a civilian trauma surgeon ended up on a classified SEAL mission in Somalia."
Sarah leaned back in her chair.
"Pull my service record, the classified one."
Reed and Parker exchanged glances. Reed opened a file folder, scanned the contents, and his eyebrows rose.
"You were a SEAL?"
"For 6 years."
"Says here you left after Operation Redline. Care to explain what happened?"
Sarah's jaw tightened.
"That's classified."
"This entire conversation is classified, Dr. Chen. What happened on Operation Redline?"
The memories crashed over her. Kandahar province, a ridge overlooking a Taliban compound. Her spotter, Petty Officer David Martinez. The target in her crosshairs.
"And then?"
"My partner died," Sarah said flatly. "I hesitated on a shot. He paid for it."
"The after-action report says he was killed by a drone strike. Friendly fire."
"The after-action report was sanitized to protect CIA operations. The truth is, I had a shot on a Taliban commander. I hesitated because there were children in the compound. In that 3 seconds of hesitation, the CIA launched a Hellfire missile. It killed the commander. It killed the children.
"And it killed my partner, who is in the blast radius." The room went silent.
"I was ordered to take responsibility," Sarah continued. "To say I'd missed my shot, and that's why they'd called in the drone. I was given a medal and told to keep my mouth shut."
Reed closed the folder.
"And 8 years later, you just happened to be available when Captain Walsh needed a sniper?" 8 years later, I was trying to save lives instead of taking them.
"Walsh pulled my file and forced me back into service."
"No one can force you to do anything, Dr. Chen. You've never watched a man beg you to save his friend's life. You've never seen a photo of a 3-year-old girl who's about to lose her father. You've never had to choose between staying safe and doing what's right."
Parker spoke for the first time.
"Are you saying Captain Walsh coerced you?" "I'm saying he gave me a choice, and I made it."
"A choice that resulted in 5 enemy combatants dead and an international incident."
"A choice that resulted in a Navy SEAL coming home to his daughter."
Reed leaned forward. "Dr. Chen, do you have any knowledge of who leaked information about tonight's operation?"
"No."
"Do you have any knowledge of anyone who might want to expose classified SEAL operations?"
"No."
"Have you been in contact with any media organizations in the past 48 hours?"
"Just the hospital PR department when they asked me to stop saving lives without permission."
Reed's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. "You're free to go," he said, "but don't leave San Diego. We'll have more questions." Sarah stood, her leg protesting.
"How's Marcus?" In surgery, that's all I know. She walked out, exhaustion hitting her like a physical weight. The hallway spun. She grabbed the wall for support. You look like hell. Rebecca stood there, her face a mixture of concern and something else. Hurt, maybe. Betrayal? Rebecca, you were a Navy SEAL. Everyone knows. It's all over the hospital, all over the news. Rebecca's voice cracked. 3 years we worked together. 3 years. And you never told me. It wasn't relevant. Wasn't relevant? Sarah, we did trauma rounds together. We treated veterans together. You listened to me complain about my ex-husband and my student loans and my mother's cancer. And you never once mentioned that you served. That you were special forces. That you were a goddamn war hero. I'm not a hero. No, you're a liar. Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. You made me believe we were friends. That I knew you. But I don't know you at all, do I? Sarah reached for her arm, but Rebecca pulled away. Don't. Just don't. She walked away, leaving Sarah alone in the corridor. A voice crackled over the hospital PA system. Dr. Chen to OR7. Dr. Chen to OR7. Stat! Sarah ran. Her injured legs screamed, but she ignored it. OR7 was where they'd taken Marcus. She burst through the surgical suite doors. Dr. Raymond Foster stood at the sinks, scrubbing out. His face was grim. What happened? Sarah demanded. He crashed. Again. We got him back, but barely. Let me see him. You're not allowed in there. You're under investigation. I don't care. He's my patient. He's a SEAL who you took on an unauthorized combat operation. You're lucky you're not in custody. Sarah pushed past him toward the OR. Foster grabbed her arm. Dr. Chen, if you go in there, I will have security remove you from this hospital permanently. Then do it, but get out of my way first. They stared at each other. Finally, Foster released her arm. 5 minutes. That's all you get. Sarah scrubbed and gowned and entered the OR. Marcus lay on the table, his chest open, a bypass machine breathing for him. The surgeon, Dr. Alan Park, glanced up. Dr. Chen, glad you're here. We've got a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where his heart keeps stopping, and I don't know why. His leg wound is stable. We've repaired the artery. But every time we try to wean him off bypass, his heart fails. Sarah moved to the table, studying Marcus's exposed chest cavity. Something wasn't right. The heart looked bruised, damaged. Did you check for cardiac tamponade? First thing. Pericard's clear. Myocardial contusion? Negative on the echo. Sarah's mind raced through possibilities. Then she saw it. A small bruise on the left ventricle, barely visible. There, that discoloration. When did that appear? Park looked closer. I don't know. It wasn't there when we opened him up. It's a delayed cardiac contusion. The shrapnel didn't just damage his leg. The blast wave hit his chest. The trauma is manifesting now, hours later. I've never seen that before. I have. Twice. Both in Afghanistan. Both times the patient died because we didn't catch it in time. Park's face went pale. What do we do? We support the heart until it heals. Keep him on bypass for another 12 hours. Aggressive anti-inflammatories. And we pray. That's not much of a treatment plan. It's the only one we've got. A commotion outside the OR. Voices raised, someone shouting. The doors burst open. A woman pushed through, dark-haired, wild-eyed, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that said, Navy Wife. "Where's my husband?" she screamed. "Where's Marcus?" Security guards grabbed her arms, but she fought them.
"Ma'am, you can't be in here," one of them said.
"That's my husband on that table. Someone tell me if he's alive."
Sarah pulled off her surgical mask.
"Mrs. Reed?"
The woman's eyes locked on her.
"Who are you?"
"I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. I operated on Marcus in Somalia, and again in the helicopter, and I'm helping operate on him now." Jennifer Reed's legs gave out. The security guards caught her.
"Is he alive?"
she whispered. "Yes, but he's critical. His heart is struggling."
"Can you save him?"
Sarah thought about every surgery she'd performed, every patient she'd lost, every promise she'd made and broken.
"I'm going to try."
Jennifer nodded, tears streaming down her face.
"That's all I can ask."
Security escorted her out. Sarah turned back to the table, to Marcus's failing heart, to the impossible task of keeping a promise she had no right to make. "Dr. Chen," Park said quietly. "His pressure's dropping again." Sarah checked the monitor. 70/40, 60/35. "Increase the inotropes. They're already maxed out. Then we hand pump, just like I did in the field." She reached into Marcus's chest cavity, placed her hand around his heart, and squeezed. Once, twice, 3 times. The monitor beeped, pressure rising. 70/45, 80/50. "Keep the bypass going," Sarah said. "I'll pump manually until his heart remembers how to do this on its own." "You can't maintain that for 12 hours. Then I'll do it for 6, and someone else can take over for the next 6. Park stared at her. "You're serious?" "A 3-year-old girl is waiting for her father. So yeah, I'm serious." She squeezed Marcus's heart again and again, finding the rhythm, becoming his heartbeat. "Someone call Walsh," she said. "Tell him Marcus needs more than medicine right now. He needs every person who loves him to be here, to fight for him." Park nodded and stepped away, making the call. Sarah kept pumping. Her arms ached. Her injured leg throbbed. Her entire body screamed for rest. But she didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because somewhere in this hospital, a little girl was waiting. And Sarah had promised to bring her daddy home. Sarah's hands cramped around Marcus's heart. 2 hours of manual compression. Her arms felt like lead. "Dr. Chen, you need to rest," Park said. "Let me take over." "Not yet. His rhythm's still unstable." "You're going to collapse." "Then I'll collapse after his heart starts beating on its own." The OR doors opened. Walsh entered, still in tactical gear, his face etched with exhaustion. "How is he?" "Alive. Barely." Sarah didn't look up from Marcus's chest. "Where's Jennifer?" "In the waiting room with Lily. The little girl doesn't understand why she can't see her daddy." Sarah's grip tightened. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. The rhythm of life itself. "Tell her she will. Soon." Walsh moved closer to the table. "The NCIS agents want to talk to you again. They found something." "It can wait." "No, it can't." "Sarah, they think they know who leaked the mission details." Her hands stopped for a fraction of a second. Marcus's pressure dipped. She resumed pumping immediately. "Who?" "They're not saying yet, but they want you in interrogation in 1 hour." "In 1 hour, I'll still be doing this." "Then they'll do it here." Walsh's voice dropped. "Sarah, they found communications from inside this hospital, from someone who had access to the mission timeline, someone who knew you were going to Somalia." Sarah's blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying the leak came from here, from Naval Medical Center." "That's impossible. I didn't tell anyone except—" She stopped. Rebecca. She'd told Rebecca she was leaving, not where she was going, but Rebecca could have figured it out. "No,"
Sarah said. She wouldn't. Who wouldn't?
Nobody. It doesn't matter.
But it did matter, and Walsh knew it.
Dr. Chen, Foster's voice came from the doorway. I need to speak with you. Now.
I'm in the middle of surgery.
I'm aware. This can't wait.
Park moved to take Sarah's position.
I've got him. Go.
Sarah carefully transferred Marcus's heart to Park's hands, peeled off her gloves, and followed Foster into the corridor. Her legs nearly gave out. 2 hours of standing, of pumping, of carrying another person's life in her hands had drained her completely. Foster closed the door behind them. "Ensis just left my office. They have evidence that someone accessed classified SEAL mission files from a hospital computer."
The access was logged 20 minutes before the news leak. And the computer was in the trauma bay, where you operate. Sarah's world tilted.
You think I leaked it?
I think someone used your credentials. Your login was active at the time of access.
That's impossible. I was in Somalia.
Can you prove that? Can you prove you weren't here, using a computer, accessing classified files?
6 Navy SEALs can prove it. A helicopter crew can prove it.
The bullets in my leg can prove it. Foster's expression softened slightly. I believe you, but NCIS doesn't. They're building a case that you leaked the mission details to sabotage the operation.
Why the hell would I do that?
Because 8 years ago, you left the SEALs under suspicious circumstances. Because Operation Redline is still classified, and you're one of 3 people who knows what really happened. Because maybe you have a grudge against the Navy. Sarah laughed bitterly.
A grudge? I just saved a Navy SEAL's life. 3 times. Or you're covering your tracks, making yourself look like the hero while the real story is buried. What real story? Foster pulled out his phone, showed her a news article. The headline read, Navy SEAL doctor accused of leaking classified intel, investigation underway. Her photograph was front and center. Not her current hospital ID photo. Her old military portrait, the one where she wore the SEAL trident and looked like someone who could kill you 17 different ways. They're destroying you, Foster said quietly. Someone leaked your entire service record, your commendations, your classified missions. Everything. Sarah's hands started shaking again.
Who would do this?
That's what NCIS wants to know.
The OR door opened. Park's face was pale. Dr. Chen, you need to get back in here. His heart's failing again. Sarah ran. Her injured leg buckled halfway down the hall. She caught herself on the wall, pushed forward, burst back into the OR. Marcus's monitor was screaming. Flatline.
How long?
Sarah demanded.
30 seconds.
She didn't bother with gloves. Her hands plunged into Marcus's chest, finding his heart, squeezing. Nothing. Again. Nothing.
Come on, Marcus. Your daughter's waiting. Jennifer's waiting. You don't get to die. Not today.
She pumped harder, faster, pouring every ounce of strength into his still heart. The monitor beeped. Once. Twice. Then a steady rhythm. Sarah nearly collapsed with relief. I've got him, Park said, taking over. But Sarah, this is the 3rd time. His heart can't take much more.
Then we make sure there isn't a 4th time.
Walsh's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went gray.
What now?
Sarah asked. Jennifer just saw the news. About you. About the leak accusations. And she's asking security to remove you from Marcus's care. She doesn't trust you anymore. The words hit like bullets. Sarah had taken fire for this man, had pumped his heart with her own hands, had given everything to keep him alive. And now his wife wanted her gone. Get out, she said quietly.
Sarah, get out. All of you. I need to think. They left. Sarah stood alone in the OR, staring at Marcus's unconscious face. He looked peaceful, like he was just sleeping, like he didn't know his wife had just branded his savior a traitor. The door opened again. She expected Foster or Walsh or another NCIS agent. Instead, Rebecca stood there. Her eyes were red from crying. "I'm sorry," Rebecca said. "For what?" "For what I said earlier, about you being a liar. I was hurt and angry, and I said things I didn't mean." "You meant them?" "No, I meant that I felt betrayed. But I understand now why you didn't tell me, why you kept it secret." Sarah turned away. "Do you? Because I'm not sure I understand anymore." "Sarah, I know you didn't leak those files." "How do you know?" "Because I know who did." Sarah spun around. "What?" Rebecca's voice dropped to a whisper. "It was Dr. Foster." The world stopped. "That's impossible. I saw him 2 days ago. He was in the trauma bay after hours, logged into your computer. I thought he was checking patient charts. But now, with everything that's happened, why would Foster leak classified SEAL missions? I don't know. But Sarah, he's been acting strange for weeks, taking phone calls in private, meeting with people I've never seen before. And yesterday, before you left for Somalia, I heard him arguing with someone. He said something about exposure and consequences, and how they promised this would end differently." Sarah's mind raced. Foster had been the one pushing hardest to revoke her credentials, had been the first to call her reckless, had fought against her at every turn. Who was he talking to? I don't know, but whoever it was, Foster was scared of them. The pieces started falling into place. The leak, the accusations, the perfectly timed news story with her old military photo. Someone was setting her up, and Foster was part of it. "I need to find Walsh," Sarah said, but when she opened the OR door, Walsh was already there, with Agent Reed and 4 armed security guards. "Dr. Sarah Chen," Reed said formally. "You're under arrest for unauthorized disclosure of classified information and conspiracy to endanger military operations." "What?" "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say—" "This is insane. I didn't leak anything." "We have digital evidence that classified files were accessed using your credentials from your computer. We have testimony that you expressed opposition to SEAL operations. And we have motive." "What motive?" Reed pulled out a file. "Operation Redline. The mission where your partner died. The mission where you were ordered to lie about friendly fire. We believe you leaked tonight's operation as revenge against the Navy for covering up what really happened 8 years ago." "That's not— I would never— "Save it for your lawyer." Reed nodded to the guards. "Take her." They grabbed her arms. Sarah looked at Walsh, desperate. "You know I didn't do this. You know me." Walsh's face was stone. "I thought I did." They dragged her toward the door. Sarah fought, but exhaustion and her injured leg made her weak. "Wait!" A voice from behind them. Small, young. Everyone turned. A little girl stood in the corridor. Dark curls, her father's eyes, clutching a stuffed butterfly. Lily. "Are you the doctor who saved my daddy?" she asked. Sarah's throat closed. She couldn't speak. "Answer her," Reed said. "Yes," Sarah managed. "I'm that doctor." Lily walked forward, holding out the butterfly. "Mommy says you're a bad person, that you hurt people. But Daddy says doctors help people. So which is it?" The question hung in the air. So simple. So impossible to answer. "I tried to help your daddy," Sarah said.
I promise you. I tried. Did it work? Is he going to be okay?
Sarah looked at the OR door, at Marcus fighting for his life, at the heart she'd pumped with her own hands.
I don't know, sweetheart. I hope so.
Lily held out the butterfly.
This is Mr. Wings. He makes me feel better when I'm scared. Maybe he'll make my daddy feel better too.
She pressed the toy into Sarah's handcuffed hands.
Please give it to him when he wakes up, and tell him I love him, and that I'm waiting for our butterfly hunt.
Sarah's vision blurred.
I will. I promise.
Jennifer appeared, grabbing Lily's hand. Get away from her.
But, Mommy, she's going to give Daddy Mr. Wings. I said, get away.
Jennifer pulled Lily back, her eyes full of hate and fear.
You've done enough damage.
The guards pulled Sarah down the corridor. Behind her, she heard Lily crying.
I want to give Daddy Mr. Wings. Please, Mommy? Please?
The sound followed Sarah all the way to the interrogation room. They locked her in a windowless room with a metal table and 2 chairs.
The butterfly toy sat on the table in front of her, its button eyes staring accusingly. She didn't know how long she sat there. Hours, maybe. Her mind kept replaying everything. The mission, the shots, Marcus's heart in her hands, Lily's face. The door opened, but it wasn't Reed or Walsh. It was a man she'd never seen before. 50s, gray hair, expensive suit. He moved with the confidence of someone used to power. Dr. Chen, my name is Richard Carlyle. I'm a lawyer. I've been retained to represent you.
I don't have money for a lawyer.
You don't need money. Someone else is paying.
Who?
Carlyle sat down. That's complicated. But what's not complicated is this. You're being set up. The evidence against you was manufactured. The leak was deliberate. And the person behind it has been planning this for 8 years. Sarah's blood turned cold.
Since Operation Redline.
Exactly. When your partner died, and you were ordered to take the fall for the CIA's mistake, someone made a promise that you'd be compensated, protected, given a new life in exchange for your silence.
I was never compensated. I was just ordered to shut up and disappear.
Because the person who made that promise died. A CIA officer named James Hendricks. He was killed in a drone strike 6 months after Operation Redline. And with him died any record of the deal he made with you. What deal? There was no deal. Carlyle opened his briefcase, pulled out a document. This is a classified memorandum from Hendricks to his superiors. In it, he details a verbal agreement with Petty Officer Sarah Chen. In exchange for taking responsibility for the failed operation, you would receive a full medical degree paid for by a CIA front organization. You would be given a position at a military hospital, and your service record would be sealed permanently. Sarah stared at the document. I never agreed to any of this. The CIA doesn't care what you agreed to. They care what Hendricks wrote down. And according to this memo, you accepted compensation in exchange for your silence. Which means if you ever spoke about Operation Redline, they'd say I was a paid asset who violated her contract. Worse, they'd say you were a compromised officer who leaked classified information for revenge.
But I didn't leak anything.
I know, but someone wants everyone to think you did. Someone who knew about Hendricks's memo. Someone who's been waiting 8 years for the perfect moment to destroy you.
Who?
Carlyle pulled out a photograph. A man in a CIA badge photo. Late 40s, cold eyes, calculating smile. Gerald Morrison. He was Hendricks's supervisor. After Hendricks died, Morrison took over the Operation Redline cover-up. And he's been watching you ever since. Why? Because you're the only person alive who knows the truth about what happened that night. You know the CIA killed civilians. You know they blamed a Navy SEAL for their mistake. You're a liability.
So he's framing me? Why now?
Because 6 months ago, Morrison was promoted to Deputy Director of Operations, and one of his first acts was to authorize tonight's SEAL mission in Somalia, a mission he knew would require a sniper. The pieces clicked together. He knew Walsh would pull my file, knew I'd be forced back into service, knew it would put me in the spotlight.
And once you were exposed as a former SEAL, he leaked your involvement in tonight's mission, made it look like you were the one who compromised operational security. Now he can eliminate you professionally and legally while burying Operation Redline forever.
Sarah's hands clenched into fists.
How do I stop him? You don't. Not alone.
But you have something Morrison doesn't expect.
What?
A witness. Someone who was there on Operation Redline. Someone who knows what really happened. Sarah's heart stopped.
Martinez is dead. I watched him die.
Did you? Carlisle's eyes locked on hers. Or did you watch him get loaded onto a medevac helicopter that the CIA classified as KIA?
What are you saying?
I'm saying Petty Officer David Martinez didn't die 8 years ago. He's been in a CIA witness protection program, recovering from injuries that should have killed him. And now he's ready to testify about what really happened that night. Sarah couldn't breathe.
Martinez was alive. Her partner. Her friend.
The man she'd mourned for 8 years.
Alive? Where is he?
He's coming here, to San Diego, to tell the truth. Carlisle stood. But Sarah, you need to understand something. When Martinez testifies, he's going to expose the entire CIA cover-up. Operation Redline, the children who died, the friendly fire, all of it.
Good.
It's not good, because the CIA will do anything to stop him, anything to keep those secrets buried, and anyone standing with him becomes a target.
I don't care.
You should, because they've already started. The leak, the accusations, the manufactured evidence, that's just the opening move. Sarah looked at Mr. Wings sitting on the table, at Lily's toy, at the promise she'd made to a little girl. Then we better make sure our next move counts. Carlisle's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went pale. We have a problem. Martinez's transport just went dark. He was supposed to land at Miramar 20 minutes ago. The plane never arrived. Sarah's stomach dropped.
What does that mean?
It means Morrison knows. It means he's already moving to silence Martinez before he can testify.
Then we find him first.
With what resources? You're under arrest. I'm just a lawyer.
We have no authority, no backup, no...
The interrogation room door burst open. Walsh stood there, breathing hard. The CIA just issued a kill order on Martinez. They're calling him a rogue asset, claiming he stole classified documents and is selling them to foreign powers.
That's a lie,
Sarah said. I know, but it gives them legal cover to eliminate him, and anyone helping him. Walsh looked at Carlisle. That includes you, counselor. Carlisle stood. Then I guess we're all targets now.
We? Walsh's eyes narrowed. I didn't say I was helping. You came here to warn us. That's help enough. Walsh was silent for a long moment. Then he pulled out a key and unlocked Sarah's handcuffs. This is career suicide.
Yeah,
Sarah said, rubbing her wrists.
Welcome to the club.
Walsh's radio crackled. All units be advised. Armed hostile at Naval Medical Center. Suspect is targeting a patient in OR 7. Repeat, active shooter situation. Sarah's blood froze.
Marcus.
She ran. Her injured legs screamed, but she didn't care. Down the corridor, through the chaos of evacuating staff and patients, toward the OR, where Marcus fought for his life. Gunshots echoed through the hospital. Sarah skidded around a corner. 2 security guards lay dead, blood pooling beneath them. Their weapons were gone. "Stay back," Walsh commanded, drawing his sidearm. But Sarah was already moving, through the doors, into the surgical wing. The OR lights were still on. Through the window, she saw Park standing with his hands raised. A figure in black tactical gear held a gun to his head. Sarah recognized the build, the stance. Foster.
"Sarah, don't," Walsh hissed. "He'll kill you." "He's going to kill Marcus, and Park, and anyone else who knows the truth."
She pushed through the doors. Foster spun, his weapon tracking her. "Dr. Chen, I was hoping you'd come."
"Let them go. This is between you and me."
Is it? Because from where I'm standing, this is between all of us and the CIA. Foster's voice was ragged with fear and something else. Desperation.
"Do you know what Morrison promised me? What he said would happen if I helped him?"
Money, protection, the usual.
"A cure. My daughter has stage 4 lymphoma. Morrison said the CIA has experimental treatments not available to the public, treatments that could save her life."
Sarah's anger faltered.
"Foster, don't give me that sympathetic doctor look. I know what I've done. I leaked classified information. I framed you. I've been Morrison's puppet for 6 months, all for the chance to save my little girl. And now? And now Morrison's backing out, says the treatments aren't available, says I'm a liability, says I should eliminate witnesses and disappear." Foster's gun hand shook. "So that's what I'm doing. Starting with Marcus Reed, the SEAL who should have died in Somalia,
The man whose rescue exposed this whole mess.
Marcus didn't expose anything. Morrison did. He set this operation up to fail from the beginning." "I know, but Morrison doesn't care about logic. He cares about loose ends. And we're all loose ends now." Park tried to move. Foster pressed the gun harder against his skull. "Don't. I've already killed 2 people tonight. 2 security guards who were just doing their jobs. Adding a few more won't make hell any hotter." "You don't have to do this," Sarah said. "Martinez is still alive. He can testify. He can expose Morrison and end this."
"Martinez is dead. Morrison's team found him 30 minutes ago, put 2 bullets in his head and dumped him in the Pacific." The words hit like a physical blow.
Martinez. Her partner. The man who'd survived 8 years in hiding, only to die before he could speak the truth. "You're lying."
"I'm not. Morrison texted me a photo. Do you want to see it?"
Sarah's vision blurred with rage and grief. Martinez was dead. Really dead this time. And with him died any chance of clearing her name.
"Then it's over,"
she said quietly. "For you, maybe. Not for me. I still have a daughter to save."
"By killing innocent people?"
"By doing whatever Morrison asks. By proving I'm useful enough to keep alive. By—" The monitor beside Marcus's bed started screaming. His heart was failing again. Park moved instinctively toward the table. Foster grabbed him, gun pressed to his spine. "Don't move."
"He's dying," Park shouted. "I have to let him die. That's the point."
Sarah took a step forward.
"Raymond, listen to me. Your daughter. What's her name?"
"Emma."
"Emma is 9 years old. She loves ballet and ice cream, and she wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up. You told me that last year at the hospital Christmas party."
Foster's eyes filled with tears. "She won't live to grow up. Not without that treatment."
"Maybe not, but she'll grow up knowing her father was a good man. A man who saved lives, not a man who murdered patients to save his own skin."
"I can live with her hating me, if it means she lives at all."
"Can you? Because I've spent 8 years living with guilt over a man who died. A man I couldn't save. It doesn't matter that it wasn't my fault. It doesn't matter that the CIA lied. The guilt is still there, every single day.
Marcus's monitor flatlined.
He's gone, Park said. Without immediate intervention, he's gone. Foster's gun wavered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Then let me save him. Let me do what doctors do. What you used to do before Morrison twisted you into this. If I do, Morrison will kill my daughter. Morrison's already planning to kill your daughter. He's already planning to kill you. You said it yourself. You're a liability. The moment you're no longer useful, he'll eliminate you both.
Foster's hand dropped. Just an inch. Just enough. Sarah lunged, not at Foster, at the table, at Marcus. Her hands plunged into his chest, finding his heart, squeezing. Foster's gun came up. Walsh burst through the door, his own weapon raised. "Drop it, Raymond!" Foster spun, finger on the trigger. The gunshot was deafening in the small room. Foster fell. Walsh's bullet had caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around. His weapon clattered across the floor. "No," Foster whispered. "Emma. I have to save Emma." Sarah kept pumping Marcus's heart. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. The monitor beeped. Once, twice. A steady rhythm returned. "I've got him," Park said, taking over compressions. Sarah moved to Foster, pressing her hands against his bleeding shoulder. "Walsh, call trauma. He needs surgery." "He just tried to kill you. He's still a patient, and I'm still a doctor." Foster looked up at her, his face gray with shock and pain. "Why? Why save me after what I've done?" "Because Emma needs her father, even if he's a broken one." Foster's eyes closed. "Martinez. The photo. Morrison lied. I don't think he's dead. I think Morrison wanted me to believe he was dead so I'd finish the job." Sarah's heart leapt. "Where is he?" "I don't know. But Morrison's team is tracking him, following his phone signal. They're close." Walsh was already on his radio. "This is Captain Walsh. I need a trace on all active phone signals within 50 miles of San Diego. Priority target, David Martinez, former Navy SEAL. If you find him, you do not engage. You call me first." Sarah stood, her hands covered in Foster's blood mixed with Marcus's. 2 men she'd saved in the last hour. 2 men who should be dead. "We need to find Martinez," she said. "We need to secure this hospital first. Morrison has assets here, people we don't know about." As if summoned by his words, the OR door opened. Agent Reed stood there, but he wasn't holding handcuffs. He was holding a gun. "Nobody moves." Walsh's weapon swung toward him. "Reed, what the hell? CIA. Sorry, Captain. Morrison sends his regards." Reed's gun came up. Time slowed. Sarah saw his finger tighten on the trigger, saw Walsh trying to aim, saw Park frozen in shock. She grabbed Foster's fallen weapon. 2 shots. Center mass. Reed fell. Sarah stared at the gun in her hands, at the man she'd just killed. An NCIS agent. A federal officer. "Oh God. Oh God, what did I do?" Walsh kicked Reed's gun away, checked his pulse. "He's dead." "I killed him. I killed a federal agent." "You killed a CIA operative who was about to murder us all." Walsh pulled Reed's phone from his pocket, scrolled through the messages. "Here, orders from Morrison. Eliminate all witnesses. No survivors." Reed was never NCIS. He was CIA from the beginning. "How many others?" "I don't know, but we need to assume everyone's compromised until proven otherwise. Walsh's radio crackled.
Captain Walsh, we have a location on your target. David Martinez is at a warehouse in Chula Vista. But sir, there's a problem.
What problem?
There are 6 vehicles closing on his position. Tactical operators. They're going to hit him in the next 5 minutes.
Sarah grabbed Walsh's arm.
We have to go, now.
Sarah, you're wounded. You've been operating for hours. You're running on fumes and adrenaline.
Then I guess I'm running on enough.
They raced through the hospital. Briggs met them at the entrance with 3 other SEALs, all armed, all looking grim. Heard the radio chatter, Briggs said. We're coming with you.
This isn't your fight.
Like hell it isn't. Martinez was one of us. And any man who saves a SEAL's life gets our protection. That means you, Doc.
They piled into 2 vehicles. Sarah rode with Walsh, reloading Foster's pistol with shaking hands.
You did good back there, Walsh said quietly.
Reed would have killed us all.
I took an oath. First, do no harm.
Sometimes harm is necessary to prevent greater harm. You know that. You've always known that.
The warehouse was on the waterfront, surrounded by abandoned shipping containers and rusted machinery, perfect for an ambush. Walsh's radio crackled. Eyes on target building. 6 hostiles moving in from 3 directions. Martinez is trapped inside. Can you reach him? Negative. We'd be cut down before we got halfway there. Sarah looked at the warehouse, at the angles, at the sight lines.
I can reach him.
Sarah!
There's a crane, 40 meters up. Perfect overwatch on the entire area. Give me a rifle, and I'll clear the way.
Walsh stared at her. That's a 1,200-meter shot in the dark. Again.
I've done it before.
You were 25 then.
You're 33 now. You've been awake for 36 hours. You've been shot. You're running on empty. Then I better not miss. Briggs handed her a rifle, the same Mark 13 she'd used in Somalia. It's already zeroed to your specs, he said. Do us proud, Phantom. Sarah climbed. Her leg throbbed with every step. Her arms screamed from pumping Marcus's heart. Her entire body begged for rest. She kept climbing. At the top, the wind was stronger. The angle was wrong. The light was worse. But through the scope she could see them. 6 men moving with military precision toward the warehouse where Martinez was trapped. She could see Martinez, too, through a broken window, moving frantically, setting up a defensive position with whatever he could find. Her radio crackled. Phantom, you're clear to engage. Weapons free. Sarah settled the rifle against her shoulder, found her breathing, found the space between heartbeats. The first hostile went down. The others scattered, confused, searching for the threat. Sarah fired again. 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 3 more dropped. The remaining 2 found cover. Smart. Disciplined. They wouldn't break cover until they had a better position. But they would break cover. Eventually. Sarah waited. Patient. Calm. The sniper's greatest weapon was time. There. 5 seconds of exposure as one hostile moved to better cover. Her bullet found him. The last hostile ran, not toward Martinez, away from him, toward the vehicles. Sarah tracked him through the scope, led him, fired. He fell 20 meters from safety.
Area clear, she reported. All hostiles down.
Walsh's team moved in. They breached the warehouse door, weapons raised. Sarah descended the crane, her body barely functional. She reached the ground as they brought Martinez out. He was thinner than she remembered. His face was scarred. His left arm was in a brace. But his eyes were the same. Sarah? She couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. 8 years of grief and guilt and mourning crashed over her.
I thought you were dead,
she finally whispered. I thought I was too.
For a while. Martinez limped toward her. The drone strike. I was barely outside the blast radius. CIA medevac picked me up. Told me I was dead. Told me I had to stay dead or they'd kill everyone I loved.
Why?
Because I saw what happened. Saw them launch the missile knowing we were in the area. Saw them kill those children deliberately because the Taliban commander was worth more than our lives. They've been hunting you for 8 years. And I've been gathering evidence for 8 years. Proof of what they did. Proof that Operation Redline was a CIA cover-up from the beginning. He pulled a flash drive from his pocket. Everything's here. Drone footage, communications logs, orders from Morrison himself. Walsh took the drive. This is enough to bury him. It's enough to bury the entire CIA Black Ops program, Martinez said. Which is why they'll never let it go public.
Then we make sure it does, Sarah said. We give it to the press, to Congress, to anyone who'll listen.
They'll kill us first.
Then they'll have to catch us first.
A vehicle screeched around the corner. Black SUV, government plates. Get down, Walsh shouted. Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the warehouse walls. The SEALs returned fire, but they were pinned down. Sarah grabbed Martinez, pulled him behind a shipping container.
How did they find us? She demanded. They've been tracking my phone. I thought I'd disabled it, but Morrison's too smart for that.
More vehicles arrived. A dozen armed operatives poured out. We're outnumbered, Briggs called out. We need exfil, now! Walsh was already on the radio.
This is Captain Walsh, requesting immediate air support at...
Negative, Captain Walsh.
The voice was cold, official.
You are not authorized for air support. Stand down and surrender.
Like hell. Who is this?
This is Deputy Director Gerald Morrison, and you're all under arrest for treason.
Morrison's voice came over a loudspeaker. Dr. Chen, Petty Officer Martinez, you have information that belongs to the United States government. Surrender it now, and you'll receive fair treatment.
Your idea of fair treatment is a bullet, Sarah shouted back.
My idea of fair treatment is life in prison instead of death in a warehouse. But I'm flexible.
Walsh looked at Sarah. We're not getting out of this. Not all of us.
Then some of us make sure the truth gets out.
She handed her phone to Martinez.
Call every news network you can find. Upload that drive to every server in existence. Make sure the whole world knows what Morrison did.
What about you? I'm going to buy you time. Sarah, no. But she was already moving, out from behind cover, walking toward Morrison's forces with her hands raised.
I'm coming out. Don't shoot. The gunfire stopped. Morrison stepped forward, older than his photo, colder in person. Dr. Chen, the ghost who keeps coming back.
That's Petty Officer Chen, or Phantom, take your pick.
I'll take the flash drive Martinez is carrying.
You'll take nothing.
Morrison pulled his own weapon. I admire your courage, truly, but you're in no position to negotiate.
Neither are you, because in about 30 seconds, every news network in America is going to receive a file containing evidence of your war crimes. Evidence that you killed civilians. Evidence that you covered it up. Evidence that you've spent 8 years hunting witnesses.
Morrison's smile faded. That drive is encrypted. Martinez can't... His phone buzzed. Every phone on the scene buzzed. News alert. CIA cover-up exposed. Operation Redline documents leaked. Morrison's face went white. You just destroyed your own government.
I destroyed a lie. There's a difference.
Morrison raised his gun. Then I'll destroy you. A shot rang out. Not from Morrison, from 100 meters away. Morrison fell, a red flower blooming on his chest. Sarah spun. On the warehouse roof, barely visible in the darkness, a figure lowered a rifle. Rebecca. She climbed down, moving with surprising grace.
I may not have been a SEAL, she said, but my father was a Marine sniper. He taught me a few things. Sarah stared at her. Rebecca, you were right. About everything. Foster told me before they took him to surgery, told me about Morrison, about the CIA, about what they did to you.
Rebecca's eyes were hard.
Nobody deserves that. Not even someone who lied to me about who they were.
Walsh's radio crackled.
Captain Walsh, this is Admiral Thomas Hart. I've been monitoring your situation. Stand down. Federal marshals are en route. Morrison's people are under arrest. The CIA operatives looked at each other, then slowly lowered their weapons. It was over. 2 weeks later, Sarah stood outside Naval Medical Center watching the sunrise. Her leg had healed. Her body had recovered. But the scars on her soul were still fresh. The door opened behind her. Marcus walked out, using a cane, but walking. Jennifer and Lily held his hands.
Dr. Chen, Jennifer said quietly, I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. I believed the worst about you. I let fear and lies convince me you were the enemy. I'm sorry.
Lily ran forward, holding Mr. Wings.
You gave this to my daddy. He said it helped him remember to fight, to come home.
Sarah knelt down.
Your daddy's a fighter all on his own. He didn't need Mr. Wings for that. But you did.
You fought for him when nobody else would.
Mommy told me.
Lily pressed the butterfly back into Sarah's hands.
So now Mr. Wings is yours. To remember that you're a fighter too.
Sarah's eyes burned with tears she wouldn't let fall. Martinez appeared behind them, walking without his brace now, stronger than he'd been in years. The Senate's calling hearings, he said, about Operation Redline, about Morrison, about everything. They want us to testify.
Will you?
Every word,
every detail. No more secrets, no more lies. He held out his hand. Partners? Sarah took it.
Partners.
Walsh walked up, out of uniform for the first time since she'd met him. The Navy's offering you a choice. Full reinstatement as a SEAL, or Chief of Trauma Surgery at any military hospital in the country.
I don't want either.
What do you want?
Sarah looked at the hospital, at the sunrise, at the faces of people she'd saved and people who'd saved her.
I want to train combat medics. Teach them what I know. Bridge the gap between warriors and healers. Make sure no one else has to choose between who they were and who they want to be.
Walsh smiled. The Navy approves, on one condition.
What?
You keep the call sign, Phantom, because that's who you are, the ghost who saves lives from the shadows. Sarah thought about it, about the name she'd run from for 8 years, about the identity she'd tried to bury.
No, she said finally.
Phantom was who I was. Dr. Sarah Chen is who I am, and I'm done hiding.
She walked into the hospital, past the memorial plaque that now read, "In honor of those who serve in silence, in gratitude for those who save lives in darkness." Rebecca met her in the corridor.
Ready for rounds?
Always. They walked together through the halls where Sarah had once been hunted, now protected. Where she'd once been accused, now honored. Where she'd once been broken, now whole.
Because she'd learned the hardest truth of all. You don't have to choose between being a warrior and being a healer. Sometimes the greatest strength is being both. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is knowing when to pull the trigger and when to hold a beating heart in your hands until it remembers how to live. Sarah Chen had been a SEAL. She'd been a sniper. She'd been a doctor. She'd been a fugitive. She'd been a hero. She'd been broken. Now she was simply Sarah. And that was enough.